If you're tired of the standard business and marketing fundamentals, frameworks, and funnels, you need a little mischief. Get ready to turn up the volume on the CEO Mischief Maker podcast, where you access conversations with seasoned business owners who have smashed through mindset barriers, innovated the standard boring business and marketing playbooks, and executed future-paced strategies with bleeding-edge tools and tactics to micro-fail their way into massive success and growth. We are Mindset Impact Strategic Catalysts helping innovative entrepreneurs focus. We are CEO Mischief Makers. Ready to make a little mischief? Hey, CEO Mischief Makers, MKJ here, and I hope you're enjoying my conversation with Robert and Kaylee Fukui. I'm here to tell you about their website and their book. Now, you can find information on them and what they do at marriedentrepreneur.co. And basically, their site is all about helping you find better balance between business and marriage and relationships. Now, they also have a book, and the book is called Tandem. Rightly so. It's basically has a picture of a tandem bicycle on it. You get the idea. And it's the married entrepreneur's guide to greater work-life balance. And this is what we've been talking about with them and we'll continue to talk about in the episodes to come. So I encourage you to check out their website and their book, again, marriedentrepreneur.co and Tandem. And I hope you enjoy the rest of my conversation with Robert and Kaylee. If you need more information about those links, you can go to ceomischiefmaker.com and they will be listed. Have a great day. All right, welcome back to the conversation with my dear friends by now, even though we just met like probably 2 months ago. Robert and Kaylee. Craziness, we're already into fall and oh my gosh, yeah, crazy stuff. So Robert and Kaylee are joining me for this next conversation into more of the innovation. And you all know, I don't look at innovation as the Elon Musks and the Steve Jobs of the world, be it their brilliant minds. We all innovate every day, all the standard human frameworks that we have to pull from. So we talked last time about this whole idea of quality of time, where you spend your time, not just going through life with emotions, kind of that's the way I take it. But that's a pretty standard, I hear that mantra all over the place. How are you taking that concept of being more productive, not just busy with your time, and really using that framework to help innovate this whole idea of balance, so to speak, for married entrepreneurs? How are you innovating that?
So, as you know, there's nothing new under the sun. And so the innovation is just taking something and doing it better. And so when it comes to, work-life balance, especially with the married entrepreneurs, it really starts with vision and planning. So in the business, you do that. But in the full aspect of your life, you tend not to. So the reason why there's a lack of balance is because the business is taking priority and you just respond, and then life is just happening. You just try to fit in your life somewhere in that, right? So we got to take the vision and planning aspect of business and take it for your whole life. And so that's what we start with is, what's the big vision? What does your best life look like, not just in the future, but even in the present? And then how do you structure the business now to make it more efficient so that it's actually the business is fitting your life, not the other way around. You try to fit into the business life. And so that's where we start. And then it comes down to where the owner is spending their time. So the bulk of the owner's time, 65 to 70% of the owner's time is working in the business activities. That's the busy work, answering emails, putting out fires, all that stuff, administrative work. And only about 35% on the business activities, which is the thing that I'm most gifted with, and the thing they're most qualified in the business and organization to do. And it's the thing that's most productive and it'll drive the business forward, right? And so that's when we have to look at the owner's time and say, where are you spending it? Mm-hmm. And then how do we flip the ratio to be more 65-35 the other way?
Because we had a client who's in the construction building business, and he had a great team, but he was he was doing everything. He was answering the phone. He was doing the quotes, the bids. Sometimes he would pick up a shovel. He was just always managing, he would say, trying to get all this stuff done, but never had time to do the things he was called to do, his innovation. And we kind of had to hold his hand and told him, you got a great team. They'll do it. You just need to turn them loose, let them know what the expectations are. Well, he was finally able to do it. He was very nervous about it. And he's like, oh my gosh, they get so much more done when I'm not around. And he's like, I can't believe it. And it's a better job. It might not be the same way he would have done it. And so now it frees his time up to go do the things that are important to him, since he's delegating to his team.
So now he said a quote that we use all the time: the less I do, the more things get done.
Yes.
And so it was, we'd been talking with him for months, and it was finally until he basically was close to breakdown, was then he finally just released it, right? Just one day he says, I can't do it anymore. And I just forced him to release it. And then he realized, oh, my team is qualified. They can do it. They'll pick up the slack and they love it. And then things get done.
Well, and it was affecting his health, and the employees love it because now they can be as creative as they want. Who wants to be micromanaged all the time and not be able to think for yourselves? Now they're just like, oh my gosh, we love this. We can be as creative as we want now. Yeah.
So that's just one example of the three things we figure out for the owner, how to unleash some of that work, the busy work. Is what can you automate, which I know you love.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay.
What can you delegate? And then what can you eliminate? Right? Yes. Automate, delegate, eliminate. And those are things, those 65% of things that's bogging you down. How do we plug it into one of those three areas? And what's left over, then you might have to do, but then that brings it down from 65% of the time down to that 35% of the time. Doing those things, it's not the best use of your time, right?
Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah. No, yeah. I'm sorry. I put that on in my mastermind that I conduct for my members. I put that on what I call a not to-do list. And so if you, instead of having a to-do list, okay, what out of everything you're talking about is something you do not have to do, that you are not the best one to do. And we call it the not to-do list. And you put down all those things on your not to-do list, and then you categorize it. Am I going to eliminate this? Am I going to delegate this? Or am I going to automate this? And it's a beautiful thing. It just helps you really be very, very clear and focused on, the whole idea of your core competency, your zone of genius, all those things that are going to help you work at a much higher capacity, and allow those things to still get done by people whose higher capacity it is to do those things.
Right.
Yeah, I know you're all about the tough. One touch.
Yes.
One and done.
Yeah. And it's one, but it's several conversations. It's absolutely automating. And I love it. I just, everything I think about it is through that lens of how can I automate this? And not everything can be automated, obviously. And I would never assume that is it. But it's a beautiful thing, especially in our society. We can choose what we want to focus our time on, and the rest we can, like you said, delegate, automate, eliminate. Wow.
Yeah.
All right. So how has that, you gave us one example of someone who has used that in their life to obviously perform better in their business and have their business perform better, and at the same time have more time in their family. What was the first thing you had to innovate when you started doing all this, besides your mindset shift of the whole idea of not being busy? How did you take that, and what did you do first in your business to innovate it with this productivity idea?
Well, I mean, the first thing, it's always about how do you take things off your plate? And so the first things I did was contract out the marketing stuff. And my background's in marketing and sales, but I'm more the vision strategist. I'm not necessarily the executor. And so having to realize that I can do that stuff, but I'm not the best at it, right? But I can create the vision and the plan and share it with the team, and they just run with it, right? And not only does it get done, but it's done better. So that was the first thing. And it can be challenging because you're like, oh, I got this. Right. So that was the first thing for me.
Wow.
Well, and I was thinking to your emails. Remember when you would get inundated from emails? long time ago and how you came up with a system for that?
Well, it was just about how much I check it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's a good system.
That's
to
what
have.
it was.
Not very often.
Yeah, exactly. And because, what you find yourself doing is throughout the day, you're just going back and forth with checking emails and doing your tasks or whatever.
Oh my
And it's not
gosh.
very efficient
Right.
versus blocking time out to check emails. So, first thing in the morning, around lunchtime, into the end of the day, and that's it. And then just turn off that emails and notifications and all that, so you're not bothered. Right? Otherwise, we're like Pavlov's dog.
Oh my gosh.
I don't have notifications on my phone. I go, no, because the ding,
Same here. No notifications whatsoever except my texts. That's it.
Yeah.
Everything else is turned off. I don't care what you
It's
have to
like,
say.
ding.
I'm
You're like,
not. Oh my
gotta
gosh,
pick it up.
yes, it is. And that's really our life becomes a response rather than right a proactive living life.
Right, exactly.
We're basically living according to everyone else's expectations and everyone else's
Exactly.
priorities rather than our
Exactly.
own when we
Yeah.
have
Well, they
those
say, like,
notifications on.
Oh, sorry. And they say
No.
like every takes you 20 minutes to get back focused on what you're
Yeah.
originally doing every time you get interrupted. So that adds up
Yeah.
pretty quickly in time.
Yeah. Yeah. But if I'll be honest, I'll let you in on a secret. If everybody else had their notifications off like we do, I wouldn't have any business because I rely on those. I rely on those notifications. That's what chatbots do. That's what Instagram does. That's what all my bots and everything does.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so everybody else keep your notifications on, please.
Yeah. So keep your notifications on.
Yeah. It's a subliminal message, not so subliminal message.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. All right. Yay. All right. So I'm really glad you guys are definitely are still already thinking along these lines of innovation. And I'm sure you carry it over into other things, not just productivity. Is there something else you help married entrepreneurs with? I mean, you said that you go in and help them structure their business. So that has to do with not just productivity. It also is hiring, right? Delegating, all those things, not just the whole idea of how to use their time. Do you help with that too? Or is it really just the leader of the business that you help? And then
not so much the hiring piece, but I mean, it all comes down to how can we make the business more productive, more efficient? So how do you, not just the business owner's time, but the team's time, be more efficient with their time, be more productive with time? And on the financial side, how do we increase the margins, your profit margins? Because of my marketing background, they're looking at me for sales. They think the answer is more sales.
Yeah,
and for the majority of the time, it's not. And especially if they're already busy, right? If they're already complaining about busy and they don't have personal time, I'm like, what is more volume going to do for you but break you?
Yeah.
And so the answer is not volume. It's usually in the margins. And so we're looking for ways to, in that productivity, we can increase profit margins. So whether it's, more sales per transaction or increasing the price a little bit, or just all the different, any kind of efficiencies you can create in the business with just even the time with your staff and yourself will increase the bottom line. And so those are the things we focus on, is increasing margin of time and money in the business.
And then after that, we'll go in and help them with more sales after they get all those holes closed up, back door shut.
Yeah. All the leaks,
all the leaks. Exactly. And then how did this help you, Kaylee, coming from an entrepreneurial family, coming into this? What kind of innovation did you bring in from the experience you had with your family businesses into this new concept of coaching or advising or consulting with business owners?
Well, I just saw it was so challenging for a lot of small business because we think we got to wear all the hats and we got to do everything ourselves and we can't let go of anything. So we're micromanaging. So we're helping our clients to be able to let go of some of that stuff. We're able to go in, different people have different gifts and we can maybe do it all, but we're not great at it all. So having somebody come in and having a second pair of eyes, I know a lot of times we don't have time to go to school and take all these extra classes. So hire someone to come in and help you with that kind of stuff and learn and glean from them.
And I think what she brings to the table too is just the empathy of running a family business and understanding the stress that they're going into and the impact it has not just on the owner and the spouse, but even the kids.
Right.
Because she felt the brunt of it as a child, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Kaylee and I, we had some good conversations about that in Nashville. Oh, yeah. That's a tough one. It really, I specifically set up my business so that I had zero expectations from my sons to work in it or my husband to work in it, because I knew how that was. I want them to find their own passions. And if that passion brings them back to my business and they know it's a vehicle through which they can express those passions, fantastic. Let's go.
Yeah. You gave us an opportunity to launch him into his business, right?
Yeah. I love it.
And that's it. I mean, all I did was ask him if he wanted to learn this skill of podcast editing. And he's like, sure, at 16, yeah, sure, I'll earn some extra money. But then as he went through it and started getting into this world, he's developed into a pretty powerful entrepreneur himself. And I'm just so glad that he was able to use that information and use that education and that knowledge and that experience through mom to help so many amazing entrepreneurs. So yeah,
that's great.
Well, and I love that you gave him the freedom to do what he wanted and you gave him the choice. There was no expectations on him as, oh, you are going to take, at least it was in my experience, you are going to take over this business. One day. The day never came, of course, but I heard that all the time. And it was like, and so I'm supposed to be waiting around for that day, to you tell me I can take it over.
Well, here's what it is. It's basically like the royal family in England, right? You wait for them to die, then you can take it over.
Who wants it at that point, right?
Right. Think about it. He's in his late 70s or mid 70s. Why do I want to take over a business and keep working until I die like you did, dear mother or father? No,
and put my life on hold till then. You know what I mean?
Until then, I'm an employee. I do, everything's done according to you. And the same situation here. My husband's father was 87 before, and he was kicking and screaming. No, we're not shutting this down. And my husband's like, all right, have fun. Bye-bye. and it was really no choice because it was really not a pleasant experience. He's happy now at 88. But back then it was not a pretty picture. Wow. How do you handle family businesses like that? I mean, that must add a whole different dynamic to it when you come in and you're talking about all this logical stuff and they've got all the familial stuff attached to it.
Yeah, there's stories there.
Yeah.
I don't know how much time we got on that.
Yeah,
there's definitely stories. And that's where you become more a counselor than you are a consultant. Because the things that bog down a family business, whether the couple works together or not, especially when they have kids involved and all that, the thing that bogs them down is just being unified in the vision and decision. And so, when you can't come to a decision to move forward, you don't. That's basically what happens. And that's the part we have to kind of deal with, is more about breaking down those communication silos and opening up communication so everybody can be heard, because in that variety of conversation and different viewpoints come great, observations and opportunities to really move the business forward and improve it. Right.
Mm-hmm. And it's never too early to talk about legacy. It's better to talk about it way sooner than it is when you're in dire states and you need to get out and you're desperate.
Yeah. So the first question we ask is about succession. Are the kids involved? Even if the kids are too young, we just say, would there one day be a situation where you'd want to be involved? Best case scenario, right? We had a case where 3 of their sons were working in a business, and they thought, the kids, at least one, was going to take over. But we had a family meeting with the 3 boys and the parents, and they said, we asked the boys, what's in the next 5 years, where do you see your best role within the business over the next 5 years? And they all said,
they wanted to retire, and they were like in their young 30s, and the parents were like completely shocked. So Robert and I look at each other like, have they not had this conversation before?
Yeah. So we had the recap with the parents afterwards, and they're like, did you hear what they said? And I'm like, yeah, is this the first time we've had this conversation? It seems like this is. And so it was. And so there are some things to work out for sure when it comes to that.
Wow. That's amazing. Yeah. And it all comes down to, again, those parents had the mindset that this is the way it's going to go. And they didn't even consult the kids at all.
Right? No conversation, no planning. And so when the kids can't see the vision, then,
why would they stay?
They're going to plan their own thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Same with employees. No different. I don't care whether they're family or not. If there is no vision shared, if you don't get them to buy into that whole concept of why we're here and what we're doing, other than just getting a paycheck, you're going to have the same issues.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. Yep.
Okay, hold on. If your mindset was shifted, you were inspired to innovate, and you were spurred into action, don't just move on with your day. Focus, my friend, and take a few minutes to visit ceomischiefmaker.com to learn more about the value that was shared with you today. Please act now and create some CEO mischief of your own.